That's funny as. All right, we're going live here. Sorry, guys. I forgot that I was literally sitting here waiting to go live, and then I got distracted and I was doing. I know I've gone live literally at 6:30, but I was about to go live and I was sitting here looking at TikTok and forgot that I just completely forgot about it. So lucky I noticed it. Lucky I noticed, because otherwise I wouldn't have been here for another probably 5-10 minutes before I did notice it. But guys, here we are. Hey guys, how you going today? BKRsport. We are here for a live stream where we're going to be chatting all things SuperCoach today. We're going to go through all things SuperCoach, which is obviously, my team. Plus, obviously, you guys can throw out your SuperCoach questions as well. I'm getting back into it for the first time in quite a while this year. I've actually not really utilised the SuperCoach preface. I've usually gone through NRL Fantasy, but a lot of you guys actually suggested that instead we should go through SuperCoach because it is a much better platform. And for me, I agree. I do think that SuperCoach is the SuperCoach Daily Telegraph is much more friendly for its interface. I think that it's a lot easier to use and does. Sorry, I just have to mute my phone. And does actually make it quite simple to see the players, positions, prices, and it's just a lot easier in my personal opinion. Not that the other one's hard, but it's just this looks better in my personal opinion. So I thought, yeah, we'll go through the SuperCoach. Obviously, if you guys didn't know that, actually I should do something here quickly as well. If you guys didn't know as well, we do have a league. We do actually have a league which involves you guys. Hold on, let me just pop out that chat. Let me just pop out that chat there, and let's do that. We have a league that involves you guys where you can compete against me and compete against each other to see who is the best in the bloody BK Army Muppet Brigade. It should be good fun. I'll give away a prize to the winner of it all at the end. We also do have a tipping league, which I can obviously speak about throughout, and give you guys a link at some point later on. This is my SuperCoach team here, guys. Obviously, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you are new around here, and let's get in chat, baby, because guess what? 1 week and 1 hour until we will be live for the... Actually, I think I'll probably go live at 7 p.m. next week, to be honest with you. Let's go have a look here. Let's go have a look. What time does it start next week? What time does it start? Next week it starts at 6:50 p.m. Geez, so I'll start at 6 p.m. next week, actually, 50 minutes beforehand. I forgot that obviously Muppet time is still a thing in regards to daylight savings. So actually, we will be live at this time next week for the first game of the rugby league season of the Butternut Squeals versus the Melbourne Storm. How good is that going to be? But let's see what you guys say in the chat here first before we do start getting into the team and start discussing it. Caden says, hi, hello, mate. How you doing? Dasmate says, TPJ is a must. TPJ is a cat, Dasmate. TPJ is a pussycat. A pussycat. Brian says, must avoid. Yes, I agree, Dave. Yeah, exactly right. By the way, I went to go get some more Coke Zero today, and they had no more Coke Zero, so I had to drink a Pepsi Max today. It's not ideal, but I'll deal with it. So the old Pepsi Max isn't too bad. So shush. Zeppi says, last night was a fever dream. What about last night? Well, last night when we did the Hunger Games. What? Rangi says, hey BK, hello mate, how you doing? Good morning, some Masters players you need in your team, Dave Fafita, Tino, Chinboy, and Woods. Ooh, I don't know about how many Dragons players I'm going to be having in my team this year. I don't actually know if I have a single... Oh, I might have one, but as you guys would, if you were watching the streams in the weekend when the Dragons played the Rabbitohs, I don't even necessarily know if I want him. I do... Oh, no, sorry, I got rid of him. No, I did get rid of Tyrell Sloan. I did get rid of him, so I don't have a single Dragon in my team. God help me, Cogra fans. God help me down there in the gong. Expect Teddy's on a bad team list there. I would say Teddy's a must-have, but that's not a brainer. I do have Teddy down there. I do have Tedesco in the team. So I will go through my team here, guys. So I don't know if you can see all of them. Let me just have a look, because it keeps like scrolling up and scrolling down past the point. So I will show you the team here, and then we'll get chatting. So in my hooker, I've gone with Reece Robson of the Cowboys. And the reason I've gone with Reece Robson of the Cowboys is because I feel like he's actually going to be knocking on the door of the New South Wales gig this year. Obviously, Damien Cook is the number 9 there. And if Damien Cook can play at least 50% or 70% of how good we know he can play, then I do believe that obviously Damien Cook will keep that spot. However, if Reece Robson, say Damien Cook is at 50, 60, 70% of how good he is, and Reece Robson plays like he did last year, I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if they did go down the Robson path, because Cookie has been out of favour. I think Robson is going... Cookie has been out of favour with great form. He has his moments, but you guys know me. I've always been a big believer in Damien Cook, but the last couple of years he just hasn't really been feeling it as much as he has previously. So he needs to have a really bounce back year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a bounce back year. So maybe you might want to get Damien Cook into your sides. But I just feel like Robson and the Cowboys, even if they were to have a bit of a drop off compared to 2022, he's a hard worker. He's a great number 9. And I think that he's underrated still. And I think that this is going to be a relative breakout year for him in regards to a lot more people understanding who he is and what he brings to the team and how many points he can get, obviously, in SuperCoach. So I've gone Reece Robson there at 678,200. It's not crazy expensive. Obviously, Harry Grant is 140-odd thousand more than him, and Damien Cook is 100,000 more than him. So if you wanted to go those options, I don't think it's bad. I'm sticking away from Harry Grant personally in the hooker department. I feel like Harry Grant is someone that I don't actually trust this year in this Melbourne Storm system. I feel like this year could be quite interesting for Melbourne Storm, and because Pappenhausen's out, Munster's still got that niggling injury, I'm not confident in Melbourne Storm, and I think that Harry Grant can go absolutely big time. He really can. We all know that. But I'm not willing to put all my money and all my, eggs in one basket with him. And then, as I explained with Damien Cook there, I need to see him do it again. And if he does, then maybe you might have to start pulling him in there, especially with Rabbitohs playing well. But for the time being, I'm pretty happy to downgrade by that 100k or so and go with Reece Robson. And then on the bench there, as you can see, I've got Sonny Luke from the Panthers. I don't think they're going to give Mitch Kenny too long there. I think Sonny Luke will implement himself in the system. I think he's a good player. And I think that at some point or another, we will see him go in there. His break-even won't be that massive. He's a bit of a cheapie that I don't think many people are looking at. I think that Chan Kum Tong as well from Manly is a shout to potentially try and take over that spot from Lachlan Croker at the Seagulls and the number 9. So a couple of cheapies there in the hooker department that you could be looking at. What would you guys say in regards to what I said in the hookers? Oh, well, we don't mind a good hooker, do we? Brian says, oh, no, not the Pepsi. Might as well grab a vanilla Coke while you're at it. You shut your dirty mouth about vanilla Coke. Don't you make me time you out, Brighton. Don't you make me time you out. I'll do it. Don't you make me do it. Don't you make me do it. Someone said, I was just joking. It was a fever dream because of what the players did. Oh, crazy players. Crazy players. Get my name out your spot. Says, in my opinion, Reece Robson will take his spot. I did say this a couple of weeks ago in the breakout video that I did with Sammy Revel, Wobble and Draw Sports channel. Who, by the way, I believe has got a new microphone now. So good on him. Good on him for getting that crisp sound, babe. But obviously, I did say Reece Robson could be a bit of a breakout play this year, even though people did see him last year and he had a good year. I don't think that it was a year that everyone really took notice of him. So I think that this year is going to be that one where he starts to knock on that door of that New South Wales spot. Brighton says, yeah, he's a bit hit and miss though, Daz. Or what's Daz said? Oh, Stags only 500k. That's bang for your butt. Yeah, we'll get down to Stags in a bit. I'm actually really excited about Tony Stags, so I will speak about him in a little bit there. Newtown Jets T. Wilson's way better than Garner. I disagree personally. I disagree personally. Blake Hudson, Sonny Luke will be a big part of our team this year. I think he will be the hooker. I just don't believe Mitch Kenny is that 80-minute hooker for starters. And I also think that Panthers obviously last year utilised Api Sakota South starting, Mitch Kenny coming off the bench, or Mitch Kenny starting, Api Sakota South the bench, similar to what they do with Ben Hunt and Harry Grant for Queensland, but obviously different qualities there. I think that they've obviously noticed the clear drop-off from that hooker position with Api Sakota South going and Mitch Kenny going to the 9 against St. Helens. Now, I think that is also a bit too hot of a take right now to say that Sonny Luke's going to come straight in there. I don't believe that. I think that they're going to give Mitch Kenny a bit of a crack here, so maybe it might not be best to go Sonny Luke so early. However, at some point or another, I feel like you're going to want to get him in, and I don't want to take the risk of not having him in there for the first round and then implementing him going up in price, and then potentially he could take over that spot. So I'm pretty happy with having Sonny Luke as that bench spot there. Blake Hull's a very creative player, absolutely. Sapelli says Stags, the coach form has direct correlation to the way centres have been kind of made redundant in the way teams play now. Block plays mean centres usually run decoy lines and more just tackle machines. Oh yeah, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with that, to be completely honest with you. I won't disagree with that one. Also, Sonny Luke is 26, he's not a rookie, so he's mature already. I didn't even know that. That's actually crazy. So yeah, he's matured already. Hasn't really been given too much of a crack though. So that is a bit of a worry there. If you're getting to 26 and you haven't really made your mark yet, then that does actually provide an interesting conundrum there, whether maybe there's a reason for that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm pretty happy with him at 234,800 with the conversation that we've had, that maybe he might get that spot if he does, crack on there. What says, excuse me, but you covered my team. No, bullshit, Wildred. You're looking at my team, and I guarantee you that a lot of you Muppets out there are going to steal my team. Stop being thieves. Don't do it. Don't steal my team. You're going to do it anyway. Who gives a shit? Don't steal my team. Don't you damn well steal my team, Wildred. XO says, Cowboys have a much nicer draw than Rabbitohs to start the season as well. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they absolutely do. I think Appy will be the state of origin 9 if Cook isn't in form. It's a shout, but it is a shout, but I also think they're hesitant on doing that. I think they're hesitant on bringing Appy in because I don't think that Appy Sakotosau is going to be a New South Wales hooker in the sense of I don't think he'll live up to it, personally. There is a difference between origin and everything else because you've seen it with Stephen Crichton. Stephen Crichton is one of the best centres in the game, top 3 centre in the game in NRL level. He's also just as good for Samoa in the World Cup and so good on the international level. But Origin is a different breed, right? Origin is a different breed where you either get it or you don't get it. And people who don't get it think they get it, but they don't get it. Only people who are from Queensland, New South Wales will understand what I'm saying here. It's a different breed. So I don't necessarily back in that Api Sakotosau will be able to do it on that level. But with that being said, he does do it well for Fiji. Even though they misutilise him and put him in the 7 or whatever they did in the World Cup. Yeah, I think that's... I think that, yeah, they might do that, but I don't necessarily think he'll translate. And Fittler's got a huge year this year. He needs it. He needs to have a big year this year. But let's move into the front row forwards now, and I'll explain my thought process here. So I've gone with Tino Fasul Malawi here from the Gold Coast Titans, 704,500. Let me just click over here. So I'm just going to do this for a second. And then put him back in there like that. All right, so Tina Fa'asuamaleaui is actually the most expensive front... No, he's not. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Tina Fa'asuamaleaui is actually the most expensive front row forward in the game, which is quite crazy for me because obviously there's Payne Haas and whatnot. Claim Dog, I nearly call him bloody millionaire. He's not bloody no millionaire. He's no Brim Dog millionaire there. But David Clemmer, Joseph Tarpane and whatnot. But Tina Fa'asuamaleaui is the most expensive front row forward in the game. He's priced at 704,500, which is about 5,000 over Joseph Tarpane, which is nothing literally. About 30,000 above David Clemmer, 40-odd thousand above Payne Haas, and then, yeah, you start to go down Joe Offahengawi, Tohu Harris, Ruben Cotter, and Josh Papali'i and whatnot. And the reason why I've gone with Tina Fa'asuamaleaui here is because, one, obviously, I'm a Titans fan. I'm going to back him in. And two, I think he genuinely is one of the best front row forwards in the game. The only thing that we do worry about is the potential of lacking minutes, especially with this system now that we do have. There are players that can obviously get interjected into there to give him a bit of a rest there. I feel like Tino's going to have to take a little bit of a step back this year in regards to the overall acknowledgement that he gets for carrying this team. I think there's a lot of other players now that can help him to do the work, so that might be a little bit of a worry for him. However, he is Gold Coast through and through, man. Like, he loves his club. I know Tino. He honestly is just such a fantastic leader for the team, and I feel like with the Titans improving this year, he can score a try. I can tell you that right now. I've seen plenty of him scoring tries in training. He's going to make tackles. He's going to make meters. He's going to get offloads. He's going to just do everything. So I'm going with Tina Fa'asuamaleaui there, and I think that maybe with him not having to carry as much, it might actually benefit him as well in regards to his points because he can be a bit more freer with the offloads, and we're just doing a few more things in the field that he couldn't really risk for the biscuit when he didn't really have the team around him that was doing the job there. Going to Maxi King now for the Bulldogs. He's at 540,100, which is quite cheap. It's still top 12 or top 15 for, I think he's in the top 15 for price-wise. The Bulldogs have got a better full-pack this year. They do have Reid Marnie in that 9, who obviously is directly correlating to the back rowers and whatnot, and the front rowers, and really the 9 is a big part of the forward game, while the halfbacks and whatnot obviously are, halfback and 5'8", obviously are involved, but they're also really reliant with those backline players. So I think the improvement from Marshall King to Reid Marnie will really do wonders here for Maxi King, and he has good minutes. He'll come off at times, but he has good minutes there. Makes a whole heap of tackles, runs the ball hard. We saw how well he played in that trial game against the Sharks, even though obviously the Doggies did get absolutely whooped. No more woof there, but I'm happy to go with him there. It also takes a little bit of money away so that I can put a bit more money and chunk into the try scoring forwards and whatnot of the back row that we'll get into a minute there. So 540,000, I think is pretty. I'm unhappy with that. The bench, though, Stefano Utuikamanu at 319,200 for the Tigers. I think that is an absolute great cheapie. He's not a 200,000 cheapie. He's not a 216,000 cheapie. But 319,000 for Stefano Utuikamanu. He's going to start for the Tigers. We all know how good he was until last year. Last year, unfortunately, he fell away from a little bit. But I do think that as long as he can maintain his spot, because the Tigers have bolstered their forwards a bit, I think Utuikamanu at 319,000 is going to be absolutely stellar. Absolutely stellar there. So yes, I've got Utuikamanu on my team at 319,200, and I think he'll go up. He's a cash cow, and also will actually get you points too, in my opinion. But I won't put him on my reserves, as you've seen, until I do see it. And then Franklin Pele from the Bulldogs as well. Not convinced for minutes at the moment, really. But I do think that if he gets a crack, he will maintain that crack. I do worry about when he does get that crack, how many minutes he does play, because he's a big dude, man. He's a really, really big dude. Like a similar player, I guess, to Moeaki Fotuaika from the Gold Coast Titans. And at 216,100, you can't really go too wrong there. Just to go through... I'll look at your comments in a second, guys. I will go to the comments in a second. But to go and have a look at players that are around that price as well, to give you an idea. Fayoun for the Tigers, Manayama, Bradbury, Louis Tosso. Maybe he's a shout, but I don't really want to kind of... He's got a buy first round as well. Valinki Kepu. I don't think any of these guys are really getting a crack here to start off with anyway. I know these boys aren't going to be really in the fold too much. Who else is here? Jesse Colquhoun gets a crack every now and then, but it's not going to be the case. Obviously, you got Franklin Pele there. Davy Mawali for an extra 18,000 is not a bad shout, absolutely at all. Maybe even Benny Murdoch Masila, but he's obviously quite old now, and it is the Dragons. And then we start to get up to this 230, 240 area. And there's still no one that really pops out at me, really. There's no one that really pops out at me there. So, yeah, I'm very happy with going with a bit of a long haul, long shot kind of play there in Franklin Pele. And then hopefully he just gets some minutes at some point. Rob McCabe says Drinkwater's my first pick. I haven't personally gone Drinkwater. Timmy Carter says mine's completely different. That's cool. Woodard says too late. Looks like we're going to have to share 50k. We might have to share 50k. You're the first rounder. You're the first round for stealing my team. Newtown Jets says Olakawatu is going under the radar. He was averaging like 70 last year. We'll get into the back rowers in a bit. Tino's brother played all this year in Isaac Fasul Malawi. I don't believe so, especially when you've got the likes of Khalees Haas coming through, who's going to put himself onto that bench there. We'll get into the back rowers in a bit, but because it's obviously related to Tino, I'll say it. I don't believe Isaac Fasul Malawi will get too much of a go this year, but if there's injuries, obviously, yeah, there's potential, but Khalees Haas will be the first person to get into that back row beforehand. Sammy Allen says, go home to Manu. I'm all good. Expert says, Max King was goated last season as fancy cash cow, but interested to see what mins they give him this season, the Dogs. Yeah, it is interesting to see. I do have 25,000 in the bank, so I could... So let's go have a look around that area, which is around that top 15 area, as I said. But 25,600 will make me 560,000. I could go with Instagram blocker. No, thank you. Asafa Solomona. That's a sim bin waiting. Adam Fanua Blake is a good shout here. For an extra 10k, I could get Adam Fanua Blake there over Max King. And he is... You know what? I actually like that. Dogs fans are going to hate that. But I'm actually going to chuck Adam Fanua Blake into that team with Tino Fasul Malawi there. Fasul Malawi. Yeah, I like that selection there, to be completely honest with you. I think that he's going to have to do a bucket load of work as per usual. He's got an offload in him. He's got a break in him. And yes, I like that from Adam Fanua Blake, to be completely honest with you. Now I only have 15,500. I knew Daz, mate, wouldn't like that. I knew he wouldn't like that at all. Get my somebody else maybe during Origin when Dave and Tino are gone. For Isaac Fasul Malawi, well, obviously you'd have to bank that Dave goes in. Tino, it won't really there won't be anything in regards to Isaac, because Isaac's a back rower. But in regards to Tino, you've got Jimmy Jolliffe and Moeaki Fotuaika who would start there, unless Mo gets the spot. But Jimmy Jolliffe and Moeaki Fotuaika. You've got Sammy McIntyre as well, who can play all over those forwards there. Then you've got Khalees Haas and... you got Bo Firma, who actually might be in Queensland too. If Bo Firma and Dave Fafita are both gone through Origin, which I highly, highly doubt, but if they were to go, then maybe you might see Isaac Fasul Malawi go onto the bench. But that's only for the Origin period, so you wouldn't really be thinking about that until much later. I have Marshall King as my hooker thoughts. I think that's because you're a Dolphins fan. So Dolphins fan said I have Marshall King as my hooker thoughts. I don't like it, to be completely honest with you. Also, Nissan Jets, please start spamming, dude. Just put it all in the one comment, bro. Don't spam, please. But yeah, I think because you're a Dolphins fan, you're looking too much into that. The Dolphins are going to struggle this year, man, and I know you're not going to like that, but the Dolphins will struggle. You saw that on the weekend. The Titans really, put a score through the Dolphins, and although it is a trial game, it still was a pretty full strength Amwell Dolphins team against a full strength Titans team. And we saw the outcome of that, right? And then when the Titans took them off, it slowed down quite a bit. But if the Titans had kept their full players on for the full game, it would have been a different story, right? So I am not too happy to go with anyone from the Dolphins except for a couple of the guys that we'll get to in a second, in Isaiah Katoa and Hamiso Tapuai-Fidow, because I still think they'll have their moments, but I'm going to go with the fullback there for the Dolphins because at least that might happen. And Isaiah Katoa is a good half, so when he gets his crack, but that is a wait and pray moment there with Isaiah Katoa because he needs to rely on Anthony Milford being Anthony Milford and Sean O'Sullivan not playing too well. One of those two going down so that he can go into the 6 or the 7 there, which he absolutely should be. He absolutely should be. Alright, so it seems like a lot of people want to talk about the back rowers. It seems like a lot of people want to talk about the back rowers. So let's move into it. So Cam Murray is my bolter here. Absolutely. 749,200. Let's just flick this one over here to the second row forward so I can see it. But he's not actually the most expensive. So the most expensive is Isaiah Papali'i there for the Tigers, which is 831,000. So he is 90,000 or 80,000 more than Cameron Murray, which I find ludicrous, especially going into a new system, brand new Tigers. He's going to go through a amount of work, but there's also a lot of forwards there that are going to go through a amount of work. They've got a good forward pack. Backline, obviously very weak. I'm not going to put 831,700 down on Isaiah Papali'i for me. I need to see him work with the Tigers because the Tigers, we all know what happens to players at the Tigers, right? So, if he does well, maybe you might be looking at him later, but it's also an expensive player to get. Cameron Murray, 749,200. You know what you're going to get from him. He's a quality player. You can argue best lock in the business, him and Isaiah Yo, whatever. I'm not too sure which one people lean with, but Cameron Murray is arguably the best lock in the business, right? And at 750,000, I actually think that's cheap. I think he should be around that $850,000 mark because this is going to be a big year for the Rabbitohs. He's going to be a big part of that. He's got an offload in him. He's got a try in him. He's got a line break in him. He's got tackles in him. He's got everything in him, man. So I think that if anyone doesn't have Cameron Murray, you're going to be missing out on a lot of points, man. A lot of points. Dave Fafita is a bolter here, guaranteed bolter. 689,800. If you don't have Dave Fafita in your team, you're a bit silly. Obviously, it is a risk. It is a risk, but SuperCoach is always going to be risk, right? And David Fafita is going to have a big year on the Gold Coast because he's now got Kieran Foran, he's now got Sammy Verrills. He has Tanner Boyd, who obviously has gone through the ranks with him, knows how to get Dave going, and especially now that Kieran Foran's there to take some pressure off Tanner. And the Bruno Millionaire doing it all in that number 1 spot. And then you got Isaac Luke and Aaron Clark doing really well in that lock to get in the ball as well. So Dave Fafita is a bolter. He's a very good defender. I don't give a shit what people say online. Defensive tackling efficiency, he is absolutely top notch. He doesn't miss many tackles. People always complain about you got to get in the ball more. I saw some stupid comment today like you got to get the ball as like 15, 20 times in Dave's hands. Well, no, because then the other team knows exactly what's going to go happening there, and they're going to send 3 guys, 4 guys right on top of him. If you can get the offload away, great. But there's just so much that people don't understand about rugby league that they think they know, but they don't understand. It's just not possible. You can't just use Fafita every single goddamn tackle like every single Tom, Dick, and Harry online wants to use him in, right? So he will be much better this year. Last year was not actually that bad, but maybe for SuperCoach it wasn't as good because he didn't get as many points. But Dave Fafita, big year, and I think that's great value. Great value of 689,800. And then we're going to Luke Garner here at 435,000. This is cheap. Because Luke Garner's come from the Tigers where he was good, and I feel like going to the Panthers, he is going to really get an uptick in regards to one, the quality of ball that he's getting, and 2, the quality that he's going to be able to possess from everything that surrounds him. I think Luke Garner at 435,000. Yes, I understand what people are saying in regards to other players. But I feel like Garner going into that system, the Panthers are still going to be good this year. People want to write them off because they don't like them. Panthers will still be good this year, top 4, and Garner 435,000 for a starting back rower at the best team in the competition. I'm sorry, but there's no way that I'm not going to say no to that. There's no way I'm going to say no to that, sorry. So yes, Garner is a must for me. If you don't want to start him, fine. But I think Garner is a must to have in your team personally, because I feel like there is a great amount of opportunity there for him. Going into the bench now, Jermaine Hopgood, that's a bolter. 298,800 starting lock there for Parramatta. He's going to be fantastic. We all knew about him from the Panthers. Has gotten his cracking out. Parramatta was an absolute monster in that game against the Knights the other day. Hopgood at 298,000 is 100%, and he will give you good money, and he will give you good points, in my personal opinion. Replaces, the likes of Nathan Brown and whatnot over the years with a guy who's really going to bank up some points. You got Joshy Schuster there in the back row at 241,200. The reason I've got him in the back row is because of the guys that you're seeing a little bit there in the halves. Josh Schuster is going to be the starting 5'8". I think that he might actually move into that lock position too. He might move into the lock if it's not working out there. So there is a potential that you might get those lock kind of points there in the running lock. But overall, 241,000, you're not going to go too wrong there with a guy who is a starting player. And then potentially, if he goes into those forwards as well, where he's going to get more tackles and just more of those real gritty points that you obviously see. So 241,000, I'm happy with that. And then Jack Howarth, it's a bit of a throwaway here. He's a centre wing there for the Melbourne Storm at 200,800 plus also the second row. Jack Howarth, we all know that the Storm are lacking in depth across a lot of their positions right now. They lost their entire forward pack, obviously. They obviously have got Tarek Sims and Elias Katoa that have come in there from the Dragons and the Warriors. So they're not going to put him in there just now. But if things go haywire, Jack Howarth, 1, should get some minutes, and 2, could come into that team, right? There is a multitude of areas that he could get in place in. So at 200,000, I'm not expecting any points from him right now. If you guys have a better option to go with for Jack Howarth, then please feel free to say it. But I think that at 200,000, I'm not going too wrong there with a guy that I'm not expecting a great deal from. Brighton said, I don't think Milf will last long. I agree. Brighton, I do agree. TDP Rise said, Blaze, do you think that Titans would win that much against the Dolphins? I thought they would win but not by that much. No, I did. I thought they would win by more. I thought they'd win by that much. And the reason why... sorry, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, guys, give me 1 sec. All right, so I just had to take a call just then. So what was I saying? I believe the Titans could win that and should have won that, and I think that was exactly, around that point. Yeah, absolutely. British Comment Man says, just remember, mate, the Titans only had 6 wins last year with 20 losses. Yeah, just remember your mother doesn't love you. Kevin says, what is SuperCoach? SuperCoach is the like a fantasy, so you get to pick your team. There is the league over there as the pinned comment, and that's our league, man. So you can jump in there and join in, and you can go up against us, and have a good time, pick your own team, and be your own coach, basically. Be your own coach. Top fans, I'll have Dave for feeder and White for edge. White. Who's White? Am I missing something here? Who's White? Who's White there? I'm not too sure. How do you think the Broncos will fare this year, mate? I'll respond to you. I'll respond to this one. Obviously, the last one was just a dickhead comment, but I'll respond to this one. I think the Broncos will compete for the 8, man. I'm not going to get too much into the prediction side of things, but I think the Broncos will be competing for the 8 alongside teams like the Bulldogs, like the Titans, like the Raiders, like the even to an extent the Tigers. Like the who else is around that area there that I'm trying to think of? I actually wouldn't even put it past the Storm to be in that area as well. Roosters and whatnot. I think that there is a lot of teams that I'm hesitant about. So that's all we're going to do on predictions, man. But I'm going to obviously reply to you talking shit if you're going to talk shit. But also, if you want to talk shit about the Titans, just remember that you were in the top 4 last year with about 5 games to go. And yeah, see you later. Get my snap. Your mouse says it's not under 10s. We just give the ball to the big kid. Thanks for coming. Exactly right. I cannot speak higher on Hopgood. He's such a gun. You're absolutely right, Blake. He is. Logan Finlay says, I think Adam Mariota is a gun and will probably get games this season for Canberra. Adam Mariota, what position does he play? Suppose I'll pick up Hines during the year. I will just wait, brother. Sapello, you're getting too ahead of us, brother. You're getting too ahead of us. Wait for us to get to the halfback section. Jackson Tapine says, first time I've seen without Smith or Turbo. I don't have Turbo, but Smith must have, isn't he? Are you saying as in Brandon Smith? If you're talking about Brandon Smith, I'm going to say no, he's not a must-have. And the reason why I say not a must-have is because I think that we've clearly seen now that Brandon Smith is not an 80-minute hooker. Right, and I feel like the Roosters are going to really regret losing Sammy Verrills because Sammy Verrills was a guy that really brought consistency. I do not believe that Brandon Smith is a hooker. I believe he is a lock, and I think most people agree with that too. I think that he can do his job absolutely in the hooker department, but I think that overall, we can see him getting tired pretty quickly. If you actually go and have a look at one of the Australia versus New Zealand games last year, the Australia versus New Zealand game last year, he got pretty tired, and he was the reason for a try. And that was around the 60th minute mark. I think that they're going to be really interchanging him and when Connor Watson's back come in, or Jake Turpin, who's there now from the Brisbane Broncos. So, yeah, I do worry about Brandon Smith's stamina and physicality in regards to if he can go the distance. So that's why I'm more happy to go away from him for the time being and let everybody else have him. If he obviously goes bang early, I'm going to be forced to jump in there for him. But, you know, I think that I'm happy to stick away from him and let you guys take that risk while I take risks elsewhere, personally. Logan says he's a prop. You think that Brandon Smith's a prop? I think he's a lock, man. I think he's a lock. Or is that more of a pickup later to someone like Angus? You can't... Dolphins fans keep put the link in the chat. The link is in the chat. It's the pin comment, brother. You can't get Angus at all right now. You don't know what's happening with him. Angus might not play this year. I don't know what's happening with Angus Crichton. You definitely couldn't pick up Angus Crichton. Hopefully he can dunk on some kids this year. Brandon Smith was absolutely dreadful last year. Brandon Smith hasn't been sold lately. Absolutely, Medvedev. Blake Hudson, I think Elias Katoa at the Storm should be getting the starting spot at the edge. Over... Oh, no, sorry, Alex Katoa. Yes, sorry, I thought that you were talking about Jack Howard for a second for some reason then. Alex Katoa will start there with Tarek Sims. Those two guys will be the back rowers there, for sure, in my opinion, yeah. Brighton says they do call him Brandon the Locksmith, absolutely. Dasmate says, you're saying Adam Mariota is a prop. No, that makes sense. That makes sense there. How much does he cost? Let's go have a look. Adam Mariota there. How much does it cost? M-A-R Mariota. 234,000. So what did you say again? Did you say you think he's going to be the starter? The Raiders. I'm assuming you're probably a Raiders fan then. Maybe Logan. I think Adam Mariota's gun will probably get games this season for Canberra. Yeah, but so that's kind of a little bit ambiguous. I'm more confident in Frank Lepele. I am. I think I'm more confident in Frank Lepele. Jackson Tapine says Angus Crichton just recently confirmed diagnosed with bipolar out indefinitely. Exactly right, Jackson. There you go. That exactly what I'm saying. You can't. And prayers up to the guy. The world is hard nowadays, right? So it's very tough. And I know bipolar is different to having just generic depression and whatnot. But overall, it's a tough life, man. People expect just because you've got money that you've got everything sorted, and it's not the case, right? So, prayers up to him, man. I hope that he gets through it all and absolutely smashes it there. And absolutely smashes it and gets back into it eventually. Samuel Allen says, I'd look at Viliami Fafita over Howarth at Manly. To be fair, Manly's forwards aren't anything exciting, and that does give you an extra 16,000, which would bring me back up to 31,000 in the bank. What do you guys think on that one? Because these guys are, how you going as it is. What would you guys say on that? Viliami Fafita or Frank Lepele? Because I know more about Frank Lepele than Viliami Fafita, but I have heard about Viliami at Manly, and because Manly have a lot of issues in their forwards, they've got really bland forwards besides Hamali Olakuatu, and Jake Boyvich is great. He's not going to lose his spot, but also the game's slowed away from him. Yeah, people are saying Fafita. All right, let's do that. So let's get rid of Frank Lepele there. And let's chuck Viliami Fafita there. And I get back to 30,800. So I'm not going to say no to that. I'm not going to say no to, a cheeky little extra cash in the old Bankaruno. They're both good players. I like both. Blake says. There you go. All right, so let's move on now to the halfback section, which is going to be one that I feel is quite up in the air for most people. I've got Nathan Cleary here at 841,000, which is the second highest in the game. The highest obviously being Nico Hines at 902,600. Now the reason why I'm not going Nico, and now Nico played well the other day, but the reason why I'm not going Nico, the Dally M winner of last year, is because I need to see the Sharks do it again. This is a risk that I'm taking because I believe the Sharks will be good again this year. I do believe the Sharks will be good this year. However, the Sharks and the Cowboys are very much in the same position where they absolutely over-exceeded their expectations last year and absolutely can come back down to earth this year, right? I think it will work for the Sharks, but I'm not going to spend an extra $60,000 on a player when I can get Nathan Cleary with the Panthers. I know he's going to be good there for the Penrith Panthers. I know he's going to come out and absolutely fire. He's the best player in the game. And I think that I'm guaranteeing the Panthers are still a top 4 team despite all the nonsense online, right? So, yes, Nathan Cleary for me. He's in the 7. I'm happy with that. And saves me 60k on Nico Hines. Then you drop off again about 110 or 100,000 to Mitchell Moses, who I did consider. I think Mitchell Moses is going to have a really good year this year for Parramatta. I think that although Parramatta might not be as great as a grand final this year, they also damn well could be. And Mitchell Moses looked really, really clinical and lethal in that trial against the Knights. It's against the Knights, but he did look lethal, man. So I would not be surprised if someone wanted to go with Mitchell Moses over the likes of Cleary and Hines. And I don't think that you could be crazy wrong. I don't think so. But it is a risk because Cleary and Hines are guaranteed points. Guaranteed. And I feel like Moses can have an off game here and there. Jerome Hughes goes back to that same problem with Harry Grant that I said before in the hooker department that, I'm just not exactly overly confident in that Storm team just yet. Completely different to why I'm not confident with the Sharks and Cowboys. More so to do with the fact that they've lost a lot of players in key areas. Will they work outside of those that spine? And then with the spine, Pappenhausen injured. Munster, obviously, niggling injury. So it's relying right now on Jerome Hughes and Harry Grant. And I guess they both come into the same category there. They both come into a very similar category. Then we move into the halfback here, and obviously it's my boy from the Gold Coast Titans, Tanner Boyd. He's at 384,600. He is guaranteed that 7th spot right now. He will get that 7th spot. He's been fantastic in the trials. The way that he runs, he's taken on the line a lot more. He's confident in himself. He's worked hard for this. He's got the great work ethic. His kicking game leaves a lot to be desired. However, it's still going to get you points, right? And you're still going to get the tackles from him. He's probably a top 3 defensive halfback in the game. He really is. He's a really tough tackler there. He'll get you tackles. He's not going to do a great deal wrong. I don't think that he's going to have any kind of massive ceiling, like a Nathan Cleary or whatnot. But for 384,000, and to put him onto your reserves as well, he will get that starting spot. We saw what he was like in the trials, and we saw that he won 3 of his last 4 games of the season last year in 2022, right? So he does have that track record of being able to win games, and I think this is going to be a really, really good start here, especially considering that the first 5 games of the Titans, right, are the Tigers away, the Dragons away, the Storm at home, and hot conditions at the Gold Coast we all know about, and the North Queensland up north. The most difficult game there is the Cowboys in North Queensland. However, I think that honestly there is a chance that he can get some good points in all 3 of those games, and I'm including the Storm there. I'm including the Storm there, and I think that could actually be his biggest game there. I'm not going to lie to you. Dragons maybe, but I do back him in for a big game there against the Storm, and especially in those hot conditions that we all know it's like on the Gold Coast at that time, the 3 p.m. time slot in Queensland. So I'm happy to go with him, and he's also dual position with the hooker. I don't have a half dual position there to go down. A hooker dual position to go down to the half or whatnot, but yes, that can be worked out if I wanted to chuck Tanner as that backup there, and then maybe you could get another backup in the halves that is a little bit better than Sonny Luke, I guess. Somebody says hopefully they get him in the right therapy and treatment. Absolutely. They're good players. Rosa says Pole or Matamua over Howarth. I'm pretty happy with Viliame Fafita from Manly. I am. Memphis says, can Moses stand up in big matches this year? That's the biggest question, mate. It is the biggest question in regards to Moses. It always really has been the question with him, and will continue to be the question with him, because that's the biggest lacking that I do find with him as a player, is that when it comes to the big moments, he doesn't stand up. And when we saw the Panthers and Eels game, and the Eels beat the Panthers in the regular season, it's usually Dylan Brown that stands up there over Mitchell Moses in those key moments. So this is a really, really crucial year for Mitchell Moses to prove himself. And I think he can do it here at Parramatta. I think he really... I think that we all know that he has the ability to do it, but it's Parramatta. For some reason, organisations in sport across the world, in different sports, for some reason, there's always a lingering thing. And I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lingering thing that always follows the club. And it just seems like, for example, the Titans, the Gold Coast have never been able to win before, right? Or the Chicago Cubs, 108 years, curses and whatnot. There's always... the Broncos nowadays, but then again, they used to be very, very good. There's just things that linger around a club that for some reason don't go away. And it's weird that you look through 115 years, 116 years of NRL rugby league action, and even with the teams that have gone back 115 years in 1908, have always lacked in one position. It's really strange. Like, for example, the Titans have never really had a hooker. Until now, Sam Verrills, but have never had a really, really quality hooker. Nathan Friend was good, but he wasn't anything crazy special. It's the one position that they've really lacked in over the years, and every single team has it when you actually look in depth into it. Newtown Jets says, need Bizza in centre wing. He's one of the best centre wings in SuperCoach. No, and I've gone against that. And I'll get to that in a second. Timmy Carr says, will he be goal kicking as well? Tanner will also goal kick. Yeah, Tanner will also kick the goals. He can be very hit or miss. He can absolutely do well with his kicking, but he can obviously, miss some too. But I think it's unfair that people criticised him the other day. Like, he missed 2 kicks from the sideline, like really from the far sideline early, the first 2 kicks. It was 8-0, and people were like, oh, you shit kicker. Like, it's from the sideline, mate. So it wasn't easy kicks at all. It's better than Kieran Foran, who's missed a kick from right in front before at the Dogs, right? So there's no one really on our team that can kick besides Tanner Boyd. He'll get the points there for the Gold Coast. And again, 384,000 is not much to spend. It's not much to spend at all. Tanner Boyd's a must-have, would have said. Yep, absolutely. Blake Hart says, where do we get the link for the SuperCoach League? I can't see it. It's in the pinned comment, mate. It's literally the pinned comment. Maybe refresh the stream. Maybe they refresh the stream, and then it should come up there in the pinned comment. But all right, let's move into the 5/8s now. Let's move into the 5/8 discussion. And I'm going to explain why I've gone with Dylan Brown here of the Parramatta of the Squeals. And that's because, like I said, I think Mitchell Moses is going to be clinical this year. I'm happy to go with Cleary over Moses because I feel like Cleary is more of a guaranteed money, point scorer. Dylan Brown, I feel like is going to benefit from Moses this year, and I feel like Dylan Brown is a good tackler. He's electric. I think he definitely does go missing in big games too, but also can turn up in those games. The Panthers game, for example, 781,300 makes him the second highest priced in the game, behind Cameron Munster, who I originally did have there. Now, I do have 30,000. If I can get Munster, I will do it. To be completely... Oh, will I? No, I won't. I'll still say with Dylan Brown, to be completely honest with you. So, yeah, I've got... Because I'm convinced that Dylan Brown and the Eels are still going to maintain at least some form of quality, despite the fact that people don't agree with that. 781,000 is expensive, but look at who's around him. You drop off 110,000 for AJ Brimson, the Brimdale millionaire. Is that a bad shout? Not really. If you're going to spend 673,000 on Brimdog, I think maybe you probably chuck him into that 5/8 role because he is in the top 3. It's actually crazy that the Brimdog millionaire is in the top 3, but it shows that SuperCoach respects him and a lot of other people don't. If you're going to spend that much for him, I probably would put him into the 5/8 role there. But then again, you miss out on Brown and Munster and the likes. Don't think Dewey's that bad of an option there at the Tigers. He's the only good player in that back line. And Cody Walker's a very, very good shout. Rabbitohs has a try, has an intercept in him, unfortunately, but has a try in him, has try assist. Rabbitohs are in for a big year. I actually do like Cody Walker, and he is $181,000 less, which means that you could build somewhere else, improve, even if you want to go to Luke Gardner and put him up there to a 600k second rower. That's not a bad shout. Or even go from Reece Robson to Damien Cook, So there is that option there. I wouldn't be too upset with Cody Walker instead of Dylan Brown. But I'm going to stay with Dylan Brown there. Then Isaiah Katoa here on the bench at 216,000. If you don't have him, you're stupid. Isaiah Katoa will get a spot in that Dolphins 6 or 7 this year. I think it'll be probably the 6 when Milford obviously proves that Milford is Milford. Sean O'Sullivan is fine and will work hard. We saw him play the better of the two on the weekend. Milford did absolutely nothing, and Milford does do nothing until one game, and then we'll say, oh, I'm back, 2015 is here again. But he's not, and they'll go back to being shitouts the next week. So Isaiah Katoa is a bolter at some point this year. I think it'll be early. I'm not going to risk missing out on him. Chuck Isaiah Katoa in, and I don't want to make too many trades early days. You don't want to trade way too early. You want to be able to get a team right now that'll get you through, the first few rounds, and you don't have to think about losing trades, because otherwise you're going to freak out later in the year when there's an injury to a player like a Nathan Cleary or a Dylan Brown or a Tina or a Cameron Murray, and you're not going to have a trade to get rid of them, right? And that's 704,000, 749,000, 841,000 sitting on the bench there, and you can't do jack shit about it. So keep your trades, guys. Don't go trade happy too early, which I know everyone wants to do, and especially when you're a Premier League fan like myself, and I do Premier League fantasy, you get free trades, right? Well, you get a free transfer each week, and then you can use extra money to points and whatnot to buy extras. Or in regards to NFL fantasy, where you can pick players as much as you want off the waivers and whatnot. But in the NRL, it's different. Like, you lose your trades, right? I think, how many do you have here? I think it's like 40 something, or 46 or something, 48 or something. I can't remember. But you got to be careful. Don't just run through your trades. So yeah, that's my two plays there in the 5/8. Let me know what you guys think there. Deluxe Chef says, will you say Jackson Hastings will get a lot of points in the 5/8 role? Is Hastings as a 5'8" here? Oh, he's a dual threat. Okay, he's a halfback and a 5'8" at 546,500. I don't think it's a bad shout, man. But the thing is that you got to worry about the Knights. The Knights are probably going to be a pretty poor team this year. We saw that on the weekend. They looked dreadful. The Knights don't look like they're going to be a team outside that bottom three. So, although Jackson Hastings is a solid enough player, and I don't think that 546,500 is an out-of-this-world price, I think it's still too expensive for a player from the Knights in a spinal position that relies on his outside players to get him his points in regards to try assists, in regards to, putting the ball down over that line there, and also getting those line break assists and all that type of stuff. So I think that Hastings is someone that I would personally steer away from, just because it is Newcastle, and you can be Kalen Ponga, who kills it for Queensland, but then when he goes and plays for the Knights, he's a schmozzle, right? The only ones who really play well for the Knights, in my opinion, are those forwards, because they have to do a lot of tackling, right? So I would steer away personally from Hastings. But if the Knights do well, that's a great price for a decent enough half that can get you points. I just think there are better options there that I feel a lot more safer with. And I feel in the halves, you want to go safe. You don't want to go risky in the halves, because they're just, it's a really integral position for this game that'll really kind of define your week, is what I would say. So Nathan Cleary and Dylan Brown, they're safe. They're safe with a high ceiling, right? Safe, high ceiling. There's no real low floor with these two guys. But Jackson Hastings, I think that you're probably going into the second level, like if there's 4 levels, you'd be on level 2 there with Hastings as his ceiling. But I do think there is a very low floor there with Hastings as well, personally. I do, especially going to a new team. I wouldn't be able to back it in really too much. But I don't think it's a terrible shout as well, is what I'm saying. I went Cleary and Dewey. Dewey's not a bad crack, Troy to Aussie. He's not, but again, need to see it with this new team, right? This new team. But also, if you're wanting to take a risk in the halves, Dewey would be my risk. Yeah, and that's still 624,600. So it's not really, it's a risk for how much money that is, and also it's the West Tigers, right? It's definitely a risk, especially for that kind of money. I would really like to be seeing Dewey around that 550, 580 mark if I'm going to take a risk. 550 is where I would kind of be taking a risk on Dewey. I think that maybe 74,600 is a bit much. Bit more than what I would like to be biting at, personally. I understand why he's there, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying I wouldn't bite at that for now, because their backline's still key backline. It's still shit backline. The forwards are great, but the backline's still shit. And 5'8" and halfbacks rely on their backs. Like I said, hookers, they're really reliant with their forwards. The halves are really reliant with the backs. I'm not saying that they don't intertwine, but I'm just saying that that's the predominance. Senators says you should put Valentine's in the centers with Stags. We'll get to the centers. You can save a lot of cash by going Dewey or Burton, both are improving teams and goal kicking. So Samuel Allen, I actually originally had Matt Burton in my 6. I did, but I got rid of him because I feel like the Dogs are going to take time to click this year. They, for me, make the 8 in 2024. I've said this for about 2-3 years now. I think the Dogs will still be another year away. Burton, I think, had a really good start the season last year, or mid part of the season, and then fell apart later on. Matt Burton is an interesting one because he could go well, but I'm not guaranteeing that he does. You do save a lot of money with him, though. I think Ezra at 583,000 is too much. Like, I think I wouldn't back that in. I wouldn't guarantee that. There he is, Matt Burton, 594,000. It is 180,000, 190,000 that you do gain there, which puts me at 200,000 above. But I really like... I'm higher about Parramatta this year than a lot of other people, so I'm going to keep Dylan Brown in there. But I can see why you would go with one of those two. I can. What about Foran? Foran's an interesting one. I've gone with Tanner, so I'm not going to go with Foran. Foran isn't that expensive. He is 453,800. I think that the reason why I wouldn't go with him is because it's a brand new team. He's not necessarily... It's overhyped, this. He's not necessarily known for his absolute quality at other teams. He did win Player of the Year at the Dogs, though, and he was fine at the Dogs. Eels, maybe not so much. But overall, people say he's injury prone. He actually hasn't been injured for like 3 or 4 years now, so they just don't know what they're talking about. But he is getting on in age, right? And he's coming to a new system. I like the prospect of Kieran Foran. 453,800, I think, is a good price for him. But I don't have the money for him. And I'm not going to put him as my starting 6. No way over Dylan Brown. And I don't have enough to upgrade a Psychotel to Kieran Foran. And I've already got Tanner Boyd there. So, not for me. But if you're desperate and you need someone who's still going to get you points. We saw how good he was the other day against the Dolphins. Kieran Foran's not about a shout at all. He's a classy 5'8", mate. No, Katoa won't start round 1, Timmy Carter. He won't start round 1. But you've got to go... Guys... You don't necessarily just look at round 1 for your bench, because if you do it and look at only for round 1, like half these guys aren't going to get points for your team anyway. Like Katoa is a guy that you just need to have there. Trust me. You need to have him. Trust me. Twitter Azzy says you don't want to make too many trades because if you're thinking about bringing in Katoa like 2-3 rounds later when he gets in, then you've already wasted a trade when you could have had him from the start, and it's not going to like he's going to get points from me anyway. Twitter Aussie said I don't play SuperCoach. Dewey isn't cheap. He's 771k. He's 624,000 here, so he's a lot cheaper than that here. But I believe you should play SuperCoach. I do. So can you guys see the link in the pinned comment, by the way? Because people have been saying they can't see the link in the chat. Can you guys see the link for the SuperCoach league? By the way, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. We're here every single day. Can you let me know in the chat if you guys can see the pinned comment? Which is our Super League, our SuperCoach league. I can see the link. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so it is now. All right, sweet. Vest says, team looks good, man. Only thing I would change is Garner. I think he's a trap, but other than that, great team. Well, look, I've got 30k. I've got 30k, and by the end of this, maybe we might swap someone out here and there, and maybe we even go Matty Burton or Dylan Brown. I don't think so, but I'm okay with Luke Garner. I think he's not expensive, and I think he's got a ceiling. There is a ceiling there. Definitely won't be going Isaac Thompson over Stags, mate. Let's put it out there. Deluxe says, what about Luke Brooks? We're going to move on, Deluxe. How about that one? We're going to move on. And this is good that TBO Mars has said this hammer won't make you money, because after the weekend, I might agree with you. So we might actually be downgrading on Hamiso. I think I will downgrade Hamiso, which means I can actually maybe upgrade Luke Garner. So we'll get to that in a second. So, all right. So let me go through my center wings here, and then we'll obviously get to the chat as we've been doing it so far. Like I said, thumbs up, guys. Subscribe. Get around it. But all right, so the centre wings. I've gone with Joey Manu at 801,500. I think that he's a must. I know he's very expensive. He's clearly the number one. But I also think there's a gap between him and Garrick, who is the second. I find that quite wild. Garrick is 742,600. There is a $60,000 gap there between the two, but Joey Manu is electric. He's dominant. He's in the Roosters, who are a very good team. I think Sam Walker's going to have a big year this year. Worried about Keary, but you know what? I am worried about the Roosters. I will throw this out there. I am worried about the Roosters. I think that they're being overhyped because I don't think people are looking at the Brandon Smith problem. I don't think people are looking at the Keary problem, which he is kind of, unfortunately, not playing at the same standard as he was a couple of years ago when he was an elite half. He was fantastic. And then you go, to a few positions that are a little bit, especially with the Angus Crichton thing as well. There's a few issues at the Roosters right now. But Joey Manu is going to be an absolute key stakeholder in that team for this year. So I'm happy to chuck an 8 on 1K on him. I could be convinced away from it. I really could be. And if anything, I'd probably go maybe Val Holmes there in the 724,600. But I only really want to go with one of those big boppers there because really you want to look for the main kind of points a bit elsewhere. But these guys are still going to get you some really good points as well, obviously. Then I've gone with Katoni Staggs here for the Brisbane Broncos at 511,900. I think that when Katoni Staggs is fit and healthy, he was not fit and healthy last year at any stage. I think when he's fit and healthy, he is a top 2 centre in the game. A top 2 centre in the game. 511,900. If the Broncos are going to stop doing their talking and start doing their walking, Staggs is also going to have to stop doing his talking and start doing his walking. We'll stop doing his videos, filming his videos with his toes and whatnot, but start doing the walking in regards to playing like he can. And we all know that he has an absolute machine tackling him, the physicality on him. He's got some speed. He's got a line break. He's got a try. He's got plenty of tries in him if he's on. This Broncos team should have learnt from last year's bullshit at the end of the season, where they absolutely choked it up, right? So, yeah, I really do back in Katoni Staggs. You guys know me, I'm a Titans fan, right? So I'm always going to say, relatively negative things about the Broncos, but you also know I'm honest, right? I'm going to be honest with you when I think a team is good or a player is good, and Katoni Staggs is a very, very great player and a very, very quality player at the Broncos. So I'm looking forward to what he can do this year. I'm happy to chuck him in there at 511k. Expensive for the very high risk that we've seen from last year, but I'm backing it in. So that's something that maybe not other people are going to do, but I personally am very happy to go with that. I am very, very worried right now about Hayes Perham at 370,900 at the Dogs. I didn't see a fantastic game from him at the Dogs on the weekend. It's a trial game, but there were concerns. And to have him starting in the team is definitely a concern. Now, he's a dual threat with the fullback role as well, because obviously he's playing fullback for the Dogs. But 370k might be a bit expensive. Maybe a bit expensive there. Maybe he might not be the guy that I originally thought. So I'm going to look at the chat in a moment, and I'm going to see what you guys have to say about Hayes Perham, because I was higher about him until I saw him in the trials. Sean Russell, I think, is being severely underrated. Sean Russell is a great player. Last year, before he got injured, scored like 4 tries in a game. Absolutely crushed it. This guy is going to be starting winger for Parramatta. Parramatta are going to be good. 366,200, not expensive. Not expensive at all there, especially considering the likes of, Joey Manu, Katoni Staggs. And you look at all these other centre wingers, and most of them are above 600,000. Most of them are above 600,000. So I'm thinking that Russell is a sleeper. I think Sean Russell is a sleeper that not many people are looking at there. So now he's not a sleeper. You guys might jump on him. But I think that you're going to get a starting winger for a good team, a cheap price. Thanks for coming. I'm not saying no, Sean Russell. Next up here, we go to the bench here. Hamisa Tabuai-Fidow from the Dolphins at 330,200. As we were saying before, as we saw in the chat, Hamisa is a worry. Yes, he will be the fullback, but the Dolphins are going to be shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard one. I'm going to scroll up here so I don't lose the original comments here. But it's a hard one because Hamisa was lazy, and that's why he didn't get a game at the Cowboys, right? He got injured, he was playing all right, but then he got injured and then came back, and Drinkwater took the fullback spot. You've got Kyle Felt and Murray Talung in the wings, and in the centres, you've got Valentine Holmes and Petahiku, right? So he was never able to get into that team. That's why he got traded effectively to the Dolphins, and now he's got that fullback spot. There is other players there at the team that want that fullback spot as well, so I don't think it's actually completely safe, especially when you're a brand new team there. But yeah, I think that I'm okay with him right this second, but I'm also very, very worried. So I'm going to see what you guys have to say about Hayes Perham and Hamisa Tabuai-Fidow, because that try that David Fifita broke away and then passed it off to Jojo Fifita. Jojo Fifita, for me, I believe is actually faster. People don't know this, you're going to sound crazy, but Jojo Fifita is incredibly fast. And I think that he scores that try regardless. But I think that if Hamisa was sprinting from the start, he would have caught David Fifita and forced the pass to at least Jojo, and then we would have seen Hamisa actually give a shit. but he didn't give a shit for the majority of that run. So I'm worried about his work ethic and his attitude towards the game, because as soon as that ball was onto the ground and Dave Fifita, a big back rower, picked it up, ran 80 metres, 70 metres and whatnot, this is a back rower who's speedy and big, but in the same sense, Hamisa would have been able to catch him if he actually put in an effort early on. So I'm worried about his work ethic. Paul Alamotti here, cheap player, 200,800. Will probably start in centres there for the Canterbury Bulldogs. Happy to go with that for 200,000. I think that's just an absolute, 100%. You're not going to go wrong with a starting centre at a team that wants to attack more this year, really. And really wants to get that excitement factor back in behind the hype. Obviously, the really loud Dogs fans, but then again, we always hear the woof woof, and the woof woof dies down pretty quickly. But Paul Adamotti, yeah, I'm happy to go with him into the centres at 200,000. And I think that the guaranteed 100%, and I've been telling you guys this for 2 months. I've been telling you guys this since last. I can't if he's on your team, UCLA. You're 1,800. You guys got to see that I was proven right this week when he scored 4 tries, and last week he scored 2 tries. He scored 6 tries in the 2 trial games. You're not going to play as easy games as you have just then, but he's going to be a very, very high try scorer this year. He is very, very fast. You haven't seen his speed yet. He can match it with the likes of Adakar. He can match it with the likes of, Jojo Fifita, buddy, Hamisi Tabuaifado, Jason Saab, these guys. He is incredibly fast. And when you see him, if he gets space, he's not getting caught. He's like an Adakar. If he gets space, as soon as Adakar gets space, you know he's going to score a try. And that's the same thing with the Lofiana Khan-Pereira. He's exciting, he's cheap, and he's going to be that starting winger there for the Titans. The worry is, though, that when Brian Kelly comes back, maybe Sammy gets pushed to the wing, but I don't think, I told you guys this about 2 months ago. As soon as Lofi gets his crack, he's not going to give it up. He's not going to give it up, and I don't think he will give it up. And those first 2 games here have proven it. So, Lofiana, honestly, even if you wanted to start him, put him in the starting area. That's up to you. But let's have a look at the chat. All right. Where is the comments there? Let's go back up here to make sure. Alright, so Twitter Aussie said when Haas, Tapane and Tohu, I think Tohu can get back into his normal 56 points. I don't mind that. Nita just downgrade Hamita to Warbrick. He's going to be playing for them on the wing. That's a great shout, actually. Oh, I like that. I do like that. Because I told you guys on that breakout video that Warbrick was going to be the breakout as well. And that's 200k. And that gives me 160k to play with too. That gives me 160k to play with. That's a great shout. I love that you've said that because it's reminded me Warbrick might be an absolute bolter. And he will get that starting spot for the wing spot at the Storm as well. And with Adina Yeremia going down, I think that he's even got more of a likely opportunity there. TBO Mars says, Tarova, good shout, my friend. As a Dogs fan, Perm has been far from exciting. Had me in my team until Shaq's game. Manu was overpriced. You get to To'o for 100k cheaper, who was likely to play left side. I think that if I was going to get rid of Manu, it would only be for Val Holmes from the Cowboys. I think it would be only for To'o from the... No, To'o, sorry. It would only be for Val Holmes from the Cowboys, who also kicks. But I've already got 160k now as well. I do. I have 160k as well now. Which is good. We'll come back to in a second. Flick AFB, way better value elsewhere. I disagree. Twitter Aussie says, I went Cheese as the hooker with Boyd as my backup. My team is really good, but it's a risk not picking Robson or Grant. I think that Cheese is a massive, massive, massive trap, and I explained that earlier. TBO Mars says, personally went Torova, Alamotti, Lofiana Khan-Pereira, and Chancellor Clockstar, Warbrick, and Martiu. So Martiu is a horrible defender, but he's an unbelievable attacker. So you're going to lose points in regards to, missed tackles and whatnot, but you're going to score points as well. But then again, you also have to rely on the Knights being good enough to get the ball in the right area, right? So risk, but high reward. High risk, high reward there. Has been awful for that price. Yeah, he's been awful. Yeah, I agree, TBO Mars. I agree. I think I'm going to get rid of Perham here. And so now I've got 531k. All right, so now we're talking. I've also got 531k now that I can chuck. So let's go have a look at who is potentially available here around that price. Con Tracy doesn't do it for me. It's a bit of an awkward pricing structure here. That's an awkward pricing structure here where you don't want to go... I've already got enough cheapies here. But these guys don't really get me going here, really. They don't really get me going. I'm going to have a look at the chat here and see what you guys are saying. I'm going to have a look at the chat. let's skip down here. Let's skip down and probably it'll go to live. So I've missed a heap of comments here, but what do you guys put the Rover in centre wing? You need turbo. I don't think I need turbo. I don't think I need turbo. I've got James Tedesco. I'm pretty happy with James Tedesco. Yeah, I disagree with you, Craig Praisey, man. Just in regards to can't carry Katoa and can't have Taruva taking up a fullback spot. So in regards to carrying Katoa, I'm not going to make too many trades early days, which is what a lot of people are going to do to get him in, because he'll get in there pretty quickly. And Tunia Taruva is going to be the starting winger for the Penrith Panthers with the injury to Talon. So I'm pretty happy to go with that, but we'll get to Tunia Taruva in a second. Warbrick, Alamotti, AKP and Tarova should be a lock, mate. The rest you should work out from there. Yeah, change perm to CNK. Chancellor Clockstar, do I have enough? How much is Chancellor Clockstar priced at? Hickory not bad. We need Teddy and Turbo. Trust me, Turbo's way undervalued. What's Turbo at? We'll get to the fullbacks in a second. Tyreek Hill is faster than anyone in the NRL, and oh, true. You're one of those wankers who troll this stream. Ah, true. You're just a troll. TBMR says, I remember there's this American dude who always spams shit about the NFL or whatever. Cool, bro. Welcome. Hit that thumbs up button while you're here. TBMR says, opening 2 draw easy for Knights. It's Marzu or Miller based off good opening draw for me. Again, I see it. I get it. But I'm also worried about the Knights. So, you know. Yeah, I'm not going to go Felt, Newtown. I'm not going to go Felt. Yeah, very awkward price on a wing. You need Teddy and Turbo. I'm going to scroll down here. Is Chance here? Aaron Shoop's not a bad shout, 471, but I don't want to get too many Titans in. That's just my bias really coming in there. I'm not getting Jackson Paul over the life of me. Tell Martinez to Lesniak. He's going to be very try-reliant, though. Karavalawa. Jason Saab. Oh, that's an awkward price point, man. And I've already got 3 $200,000 centre wings on the bench, so it's not like I can downgrade there. Unless I downgraded Joey Manu to Val Holmes. If I downgrade Joey Manu to Val Holmes, that would mean that would go at a 1724. That's 160k more. So then I would have 670,000, and then I could go for the likes of maybe Talakai. Oh, it's interesting. I could get Val Holmes and Talakai if I downgraded Joey Manu to Val Holmes. What do you guys think about that? 327k is Chancellor Clockstar. What do you think about that? Do you think I should go Chancellor Clockstar with that? Or do you think that maybe I should do the downgrade there of Joey Manu for Val Holmes and CSF Talakai? Campbell Graham, yeah, is there too. Don't get Talakai, Timmy Carter says. Oh, he's got some good stats for his name, man. People don't rate him, but he had some really good stats last year. Really good stats. Toto, way better option than Talakai. What's Toto at? How much is Toto at? 624,000. Oh, because Chance is the fullback for the Warriors. Yeah, I'm going to do that because I am, like I said, I am relatively worried about the Roosters this year. So I'm happy to go Val, who is going to be consistent and kick for us as well. And 608,000 is how much I'm going to have here. So I actually can't go Talakai anyway. So I did the wrong math there. So 608,000. I also can't get Brian To'o. I'm still $16,000 off him. 16,000 off. So we come back down to this awkward damn well pricing again. Edgerly at 591,000. If anyone does that, you're a goose. If anyone does that, you're a goose. If you're going for that. Now I'm looking at Greggy Matsu. You know, you're nearly convincing me here, to be honest. You're thinking, you may be convincing me right now that maybe I might jump on the Greggy Matsu train. Because I originally had him a couple of weeks ago, but I just think his defense is so bad that it's just hard to look at. I'm starting to think about the Greggy Matsu. He's got the Warriors first up as well. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Greg Marty in. I'm going to put Greg Marty there. So Val Holmes, Stags, Greg Marty and Russell. I'm happy with that. I'm also glad that people didn't go off at me for my this different pick and Shawnee Russell. But there we go. So that is the centres there. Let's move into the fullback now, and then we can have an overall chat for about 20 minutes or so before I do jump off here tonight. But we go to the fullback. So I've obviously gone James Tedesco. I think this is a must. Ryan Pappenhausen at 950,500 is ludicrous. He's going to be into the first 8 rounds. Anyone who does him... Actually, let's see how many people have actually picked him. Oh, it doesn't show me their own percentage because I don't have SuperCoach thingo. Okay, whatever. No, I want to sort by price. Oh, there you go. No, it's on 22 average, whatever. So... Ryan Pappenhausen is way too expensive. Don't look at him. Latrell Mitchell, I also feel is too expensive at 889,000. I think that James Tedesco is going to carry the Roosters as per usual and is going to get points. And he plays the Dolphins first up. That's why I'm looking at captaining him first up. I know you could look at captaining Cleary, but he's playing the Dolphins the first game. And I think that the Roosters will tear the Dolphins up. But the Roosters are infamous for not playing too well in the first game of the season too. So maybe there's that question mark. But I think that he's a guaranteed 836,300. You must get him. If you don't get him, it'll be very, very silly. Very, very silly there. And then we've got Sunu Turuva, who is mixed between a centre wing and also a fullback. I've got him in the fullback. A lot of people here are crying that I don't have him in the centre wing there. I like the likes of William Warbrick, Paul Alamotti, and Camperera. If you're going to move him into the wing, who are you taking out of there? Because Warbrick's going to start for the Storm, Alamotti's going to start for the Dogs, and Camperera's going to start for the Titans. So who are you moving out there? If you want to get Tom Tavoyevich, he's 577,700. So right now, I don't have that. I've got 26,800 in the bank, which will get me up to 300,000. So everyone who's saying to get Tom Tavoyevich into the team, I have to restructure this entire team to be able to do that. Like restructure the entire team to be able to do that. I want to wait for Tom Tavoyevich to get back from injury before I go all in and put my eggs into the basket of Tom Tavoyevich. When Tom Tavoyevich is on, fit and healthy, it's going to screw me if he plays like that first 2 games. But I think it will take time for Tom Tavoyevich to get back into it and trust his ability again. It's not necessarily the ability, but it's his body is actually what I should have been saying there. I think he's going to need time to trust his body again. Manly's first 2 games of the season. Who is Manly's first 2 games of the season? Let's click on Tom. Let's click on Tom here. Is it going to click it? Okay, it's clicked it now. Who are the first 2 games of the season here? Does it show us? Oh, here we go. So Bulldogs, Parramatta, Rabbitohs, Knights, and Penrith. And they have a bye round 2. I think that is a bit of a early days. I think it's a bit of a trap early days, and that might be a silly thing to say, but based on the injury, I'm happy to listen to you guys if you want to say get rid of Todorova. But Compere and Alamotti and Warbrick are not going to be moving from that team there, and Todorova is going to be the starting winger for the Panthers, so I don't know what you want there, especially considering the price range there for Todorova, who is massive value, but I'm not downgrading Tedesco to have a 550 as my starter and losing Tedesco. Ron says Farnworth, not for me. Samuel says Turbo is cheaper than Marcy. Put Todorova in centre wing. You are so obsessed with putting him in. You guys are so obsessed with Turbo. I am going to wait until round 3. If it's up to you guys, you do you. If you think I'm stupid, then I'm stupid. It's your choice. But I disagree with you. I think that I want to see Tom Tavoyevich trust his body again because he is infamously known for getting injuries. He's got to buy round 2. So the first round, he is going to play the Dogs. I don't think that he trusts his body in round 1. I think that it takes him time to get into it, and Manly are a worry this year still. They did well in the trials, but that doesn't mean they're going to do well in the regular season. Very different games. The only reason people give a shit about trials nowadays is because finally it's being televised. But if it wasn't being televised, you guys wouldn't know nothing, because 5 years ago it wasn't televised. 5 years ago it wasn't televised, and no one could tell you nothing when the teams were playing each other. Nowadays, everyone's an expert about trials. Right? So I think Tom Tavoyevich will come back in, and he'll play fine, but I think that I'm happy to wait it out for him. And then hopefully I can get a bit of money elsewhere, and then I can bring him in. Which means trades, which I don't want to do trades. But I like it. Rod says 92% of people got Teddy starting, 8% have him on the bench. Why do they have him on the bench? Probably because they've got Tavoyevich there. Jackson Tapine says, I went Teddy and drink water. Sure, Turbo could go off, but Mayor round 2 buy as well. Exactly right, Jackson. The round 2 buy. Dogs and buy, yeah, Henry. Crazy Praying Man says, you're going to be up against people 4-gun halves and 2-gun fullbacks. The same 2-gun second row forwards as you and at least 1-gun centre wing, and they're going to blow your doors off. Okay, well, you can sit there and hate all you like, bro. Like, I know you're trying to give your opinion, and that's fine, but I disagree with you. I disagree with you. You know, it's not my first time at the rodeo here, man. Obviously, every person here thinks that they're the best player on the planet Earth, and it's all good that you have a bit of knowledge here and there, but in the same sense, I know a thing or two about a thing or two as well, and I'm going to disagree with you. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. And I think that, if you want to beat me, join the league. You want to beat me and embarrass me, then join the league, brother. I'm happy. I'm happy for you to embarrass me. Please embarrass me. But I'm happy with going with Tanner Boyd at my bench alongside Hopgood, Camprera, and Torova as my 4 players there. And I might even, move one to Stefano Utukamanu. I might even do it there in regards to those reserves. Torova at 275k is a must-have. Absolutely. Jade Knockenball, you're a goose. X Factor says, what do you like most about Sean Russell at the Eels? Well, when he was playing for the Eels, he was scoring tries. He scored 4 tries in one game last year. And then he got injured. Wasn't that the one where the knees went straight into his ribs or something like that? I can't remember. Was that the Titans game? The Eels robbed? I think it was. I think he got injured in that game, didn't he? Or was it another game? I can't remember. But Sean Russell got injured last year, but was very good for the most part. When he played. So, I'm happy with it. Yeah, Jaden Campbell. Yeah, it was a Titans game. It was the first game of the season. So, yeah, I like him at the Eels. I think that the Eels are still going to be on this year. I thought they looked clinical against the Knights. So, if they can translate that trial form into the regular season, then I'm happy to it. Crazy Praying Man says, I'm not hating him, just telling you facts, dude. No, you're not telling me facts, you're telling me your opinion and trying to say it is facts. It is opinion. It's not fact. You can't tell me what everyone is doing. And if you think that, then cool. That's your choice, bro. I've seen the teams loaded in those high scoring positions don't get all defensive. I'm here to help. Don't get defensive, man. Just telling you that what you're saying is an opinion. Everything that you're saying is an opinion, and I disagree with you. And because I'm disagreeing with you, you're continuing to go on as if everybody else is wrong and you're right. That's why I say to you, your opinion's fine. You're entitled to it. If you want to slap me and embarrass me this year, please feel free to join the SuperCoach League and put me in my place. But until then, just enjoy the show. I'm going to put my team out here. If you like it, you like it. You don't like it, you don't like it. I disagree with you, and I'm going to enjoy going ahead with this team. If I change it in the next week or so, I'll change it next week or so. But everyone's an expert in this game. So, no, I'm pretty happy to go with this team. Vesta says, everything about Sean Russell is good except for the Eels' god-awful draw. That's a very good point. I'm not going to change him. I'm just going to show you guys who their starting 5 is. They're starting 5. If you are new here, by the way, guys, this is the way that we chat. It's all honest. I'll tell you what my thoughts are, and it is a to and fro here. It's all respect, man. We're all passionate, all talking footy, and all trying to do our best at what we're doing. So for everyone, don't get offended if the chat disagrees with you or I disagree with you, or just. If people just disagree with each other, it's just going to happen. So, yeah, don't think that anyone's getting upset or anything like that, but it's just footy chat. And everyone's an expert at this kind of thing. Everyone thinks they know everything. But Melbourne Storm, Sharks, Manly, Penrith, and Sydney is the first 5. That is a horrible start for the Eels. That is outrageous of a start for the Eels. I'm still going to go with Sean Russell, but that is a dreadful start for the Eels. I think the easiest game there might actually be bloody Melbourne. I think the easiest game there might, crazily enough, be Melbourne, which is a wild thing to say, and that's the first game of the season. Some people like to just use the players they like and not look into stats too much. Yeah, exactly right, X Factor. And then there's the people who are obsessed with stats that don't necessarily translate. Obviously, a lot of the stats do translate, especially in SuperCoach and whatnot, but you also can't get too hyped up about something that happened last year and translate to this year. The Cowboys came 15th in 2021, no one believed them turn 22, and they absolutely went bang. There was nobody saying the Cowboys were going to be killing it, right? So everyone's an expert until, the season actually unfolds there. Until the season unfolds. Alan says, at least if Turbo gets in, starts slowly with 7% owned. But that's not my problem. I don't need to be like everybody else. I'm not a consensus. I'm not a sheep. If you want to get Trbojevic, get Trbojevic. If you want to get him, then get him. I'm happy for you to get him, and I get why you're getting him. But I don't want to be in the same boat with everybody else. Maybe I want to be a point of difference, and that's why maybe I believe that Trbojevic won't start off the season. If I don't think that Trbojevic is going to start the season off well, why would I give a shit about everybody else? Because that means that it's going to be a problem for everybody else. If, by 2 rounds in and trying to have to figure out where you're going to put him. I don't care about what everyone else is doing. You shouldn't be thinking about what everyone else is doing, man. You should be thinking about what you think is best. Don't play your game around other people. Newtown Jet says, I'll take you and Aiken over Marzu. No, I wouldn't. I would not go to the Dolphins. I would not go to a backline Dolphins player, personally. Not really. No way. X-Ray says he's trying to be respectful and say, have your opinion, but if you want to prove it, then join the league and try and outscore him for full season. Absolutely. It's not an opinion. Yes, it is an opinion. That people have those positions stacked, and you're sounding pretty defensive, mate. Okay, well, we're just going to get rid of you, bro. Catch you later. There's plenty of other channels out there for you if you don't like this, because you just sound like a goose. Vesta says Ewan Aiken is the biggest trap out. Yeah, I like Ewan. I do. I like Ewan, but I'm not going to be going for him. Yeah, we'll catch you later, crazy praying man. There's plenty of other channels out there for you, man, if you want to be a wank. Newtown Jet says Ewan Aiken was great last year while playing for that poor Warriors side. That's great, but this isn't the Warriors. This is the Dolphins now. It's a brand new team with a brand new setup, with brand new coach, with brand new players, with brand new combinations, with brand new everything, right? And, it's a brand new setup completely. So, overall, that's great that he played well the Warriors, but there's no way that I guarantee that he translates straight into that Dolphins team. And it's not like he's getting any younger. It's not like he's old, but it's not like he's getting any younger either. And there's also no guarantee that he holds his spot because this is a brand new team, so we don't even know realistically who are the starters besides the experienced players in the forwards. Blake Carter says if Aiken plays in the back row, he could be an option, but not if he's in the centres. Well, Felice Kafusi and Kenny Bromwich are going to be the back rows. Vesta says, that's true, but he was great at second row forward. Ewan will be in centres and traditionally doesn't score well there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's going to be, Newtown Jets, he's not playing back row because Felice Kafusi and Kenny Bromwich will be the back rows. That's not true. That's not true at all. They went and signed those two players for that very reason. That's not at all how it's going to go. Ewan Aiken probably plays off the bench, if anything. And I think he probably, if he starts, he'll go centres because he's not getting over Felice or Kenny. And if you're saying he's going to be forward, then he'll be on the bench, so then it wouldn't be worthwhile. So, just my take. That's just my take. You go for him all you like. If you want to get him, get him. But I'm happy with Greg Marty, who will start on the wing there, is a dynamic attacker, has speed, is arguably, I believe, the best attacking winger in the game. I do. But the worst defending winger in the game. I really think that he's the best attacking winger, but the worst defensive winger. That's my personal opinion there. But there we go, guys. I think that's pretty much it that we have to really do for today. We've gone through the entire team. I've given you my thought process. I've given you my ideas about what I'm doing. Expert says, I can't trust these coaches, need to see who they give minutes to. It's exactly right. But, you have to do your best with what you got. So, but yeah, I'm going to jump off. I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. Obviously, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We will have a video tomorrow. We will have a video tomorrow. I can't remember what we're doing. We might even do a stream tomorrow, actually, because we've got the Super Rugby that's starting up. But if you guys are new here, we do streams for all the games. I'll be vlogging all the Titans games and whatnot. So we'll be a big year this year. Get around and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. But I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. But alright, guys, don't forget, jump into the SuperCoach League, and I will give you the tipping league when we do our tipping stream or tipping videos next week. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later.